Alright, we are back in the F-18 Hornet doing our quality control for the flight school campaign that we've been working on. As you can see, we are back in VR again. I'm going to continue trying to make this work. My hardware is good enough to kind of run it, but not really great. This particular mission is for working on using terrain to hide from enemies. As you can see here, that's the objective that we'll be working on today. I don't believe we're going to fight anything. I'm pretty sure we're not going to fight anything, but we do have an enemy out there that will shoot us if we don't follow the instructions. So let's hop into this. As always, the first time through one of these missions, we're going to go ahead and do it mostly in real time until the narrations go away, just to check for timing and things like that.
While you generally want to be high and fast when attacking enemies, there are certain situations where being low to the ground is preferable. For this lesson, we're going to learn about using terrain to hide from enemy radar. Get yourself in the air and out to waypoint 1 so we can practice. Press IP once you're established on heading and climbing up to 10,000 feet.
Alright, so not too much to do except just get out of here and go. So yeah, there won't be any fighting on this particular mission because this is mostly about learning to avoid enemy aircraft using terrain to hide from their radar. So there's a flight path that we'll be following to avoid the enemy aircraft that's out there, and that's what we're doing. Come on, get me off the ground, come on. As my standard disclaimer is I cheat to get out of here for the quality control, for the purposes of quality control, just because, you know, we end up having to do these missions multiple times sometimes, and I would rather not have to do the entire taxi to runway, take off, blah, 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 all that stuff. So this is what we do. So we're on our way out to waypoint 1. We'll go ahead and speed up time a little bit to get ourselves turned out, because I don't want to wait too long for that. Alright, so this IP button, as I say every time, it is a communications-related button, but it is not something that is typically used in the game. I use this button as letting the instructor know that it's time to move on to the next thing.
Fence in. One of the big limitations with using radio is that it works on line of sight at the frequencies we use for detection. This means that if something big gets in the way, like a mountain, we won't be able to detect anything on the other side of it. You've experienced this many times during your returns to Vatsiani as mountains got in the way of your TACAN signal. Just like the TACAN, the radar will be blocked if the aircraft you're looking for is obscured by terrain. The same applies to enemy radar, so today we're going to fly out to a waypoint that is being patrolled by a MiG and stay low to the ground in an attempt to prevent it from seeing us. For this mission, we're not really concerned about shooting down the MiG. The point is to make it safely to waypoint 5 and then RTB.
Okay. I think that there might be trigger related. I should have reviewed the mission before I did this, but I believe there are triggers out there that once we enter the trigger, it'll start telling us to do things. So let's fast forward time to get ourselves, because I'm pretty sure I didn't have a stay at 10,000 feet. We were supposed to get to a certain point and then we descend down to follow the terrain. Yeah, I think we're going to go down into this valley here pretty soon. So let's just wait till we get close to waypoint 1.
The range at waypoint 8.
Okay. I think I may need to adjust my narrations because I don't recall seeing anything in the instructions about getting down to the ground. So yeah, this is why you do quality control, because you don't. It can be hard sometimes to catch all of the little details that you thought you had in there, and then they're not there. So we're going to be doing most of this part in real time because trying to fast forward through close to the ground terrain like this is going to be very difficult to do.
Okay,
and it's going very quickly.
We're approaching the mountain range we'll be using
okay,
for cover.
alright.
Get down to the
So
deck
if
you aren't already and follow the flight plan while trying to keep down in the canyons for cover.
Oh crap.
Altitude. Altitude.
Waypoint 2. Auto. want to make sure it's actually going to auto turn for me. Yeah, I'm really hoping I can find a way to get a better graphics card here soon, so that when we get to the ground like this, it doesn't look like a slideshow. I mean, it's relatively smooth as long as I'm not looking straight at the part that's sliding by, but it's still kind of, you know, still kind of sucks. So yeah, the purpose of this mission is to teach, especially new pilots, you know, terrain can be your friend if you get down in it and there's enemies that you're trying to avoid. I should have put something. I should have put these. I probably should put a note in there about turning the silence on the radar on, or just turning it off. Yeah, I wanted to have it set up so that the pilot could just stay down in the mountains like this, but unfortunately, the terrain, I couldn't find a spot in the terrain over here that would allow me to just do that. So they're gonna have to just figure out, hey, let me get over this mountain and then you know, fall down the other side. Some things you're just gonna have to kind of figure out. I want this flight training to kind of be hand-holdy, but not hand-holdy to the point to where you don't have to think at all either. So it kind of ends up being a little bit more of a, hey, you gotta think about things, you gotta pay attention, you gotta, like, part of it is, you know, it's laziness on my part to a certain extent, but it's also just you know, we gotta teach the pilots to actually think a little bit. And if I tell them every single little thing, then when they get out on their own and they're doing their own thing, they're not gonna have the capability of being like, hey, let me I need to figure out how to get through this. Waypoint 4 is way over that way. So I wonder if my waypoints have moved, because I wouldn't have put it so that you had to go up over these mountains and then make a left turn to come back over this way. Yeah, I think we were probably supposed to come up over that crest there and then come back down into this valley. So I don't know if maybe I just screwed it up and I wasn't paying attention, or maybe because I have run through this mission before because I was trying to go down in these valleys and stay there. So maybe the waypoints ended up moving on me since I last did it, because I have noticed that some of the things I had set in previous missions that were set a certain way, and I remember them being a certain way, are not that way anymore. So it's entirely possible that the waypoints shifted on me slightly since I last worked on any of this. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't because I moved them. So I don't know if there was some drift that happened because I reinstalled DCS and I have these files stored on a cloud server, on a cloud storage. Maybe that affected it in some way. Or maybe I'm just remembering wrong. It's always a possibility. But yeah, ideally you're supposed to follow the terrain and, you know, as best you can to get to the waypoint you're trying to get to. So for the most part, we're able to follow it fine. It's just there's that little weird part over there at the other edge of it, at waypoint 3, I think it was, where we ended up going over the mountain and in a way that didn't make much sense to me. So I guess we can kind of check out that waypoint. I can check out that waypoint to make sure it's in the right spot, but or maybe I placed it there assuming that the auto advance on the waypoint thing would happen before you actually got to that point, and it would move you and turn you there. So I don't know. One of those things where, you know, trying to tweak it based off of something that doesn't always change the same way every time is also just kind of difficult to mess with. So yeah, we're trying to get the waypoint 5 here. No, so the idea behind this is that there is a MiG out there. It's doing a combat air patrol and it's looking for us. And it's got an AWACS helping it. So the idea is that you need to stay down here or you're going to get pinged and you're probably going to get engaged. And then realistically, you're probably going to die too. So there's always that.
Looks like we made it okay. Continue on to waypoint 8 and then RTB as normal.
Alright, so we can head over this way. So yeah, if you don't stay close to the ground, you don't stay reasonably terrain masked, you're going to get picked up by the MiG that's out there, and he's going to start trying to fight you. So the whole purpose of this mission is simply to ingrain the idea of staying close to the ground in situations like this and using the terrain to help you out. Over in that direction somewhere, there is a MiG. Ideally, we're still low enough that we're not going to have to worry about him, but get my RWR up. But yeah, well, you can see the Russian AWACS out there. He's on our RWR. He is sending his radar over here, so just got to be careful of that. Ourselves over waypoint 6. And I believe that at this point the conditions of the mission have been satisfied, so I don't think you actually necessarily have to finish going through the waypoints. I won't say that in the mission to the student because, you know, ideally I want them to go all the way back, do the carrier style landing that I've had you guys do, that I've had the student do every mission since almost the very beginning. So that way, you know, they get the repetition of having done the case 1 pattern, you know, 20 plus times by the time they actually go to the carrier and do that. Ideally, you follow the valley down here, get over to waypoint 7, and then waypoint 8 takes you all the way back to here. Very nice. Speed time up just a little bit. Okay, so yeah, at this point you'll start heading back, and I think once you leave the zone, the training zone, it might say something else to you, or it's just you just head back. I don't remember. All right. We don't have anything on our RWR messing with us, so let's go ahead and get our autopilot B-ulted up, coupled to the waypoint. And then we'll head back, and maybe we'll go ahead and just do a carrier landing. I don't know how much time we have on here so far. To be honest, I don't know, because my recording software does not really do well when I'm trying to do VR. So that's fine. We'll go ahead and do the landing. I think the last time you guys saw me do a landing, it was with the other head tracking software that I had. What's the TACAN? I forget. I think it's 67. Yeah, 67 X-ray. TACAN 67 X-ray on. We'll get a BR. We should get a BRC from. All right, hold on. Let's get this set to. Actually, we'll be done with being fenced in for now. Let's get this guy set up for HSI. We'll get the TACAN turned on. The TACAN. Why am I not able to get the waypoint information turned off? I don't remember why it does this. Should be able to turn off waypoint navigation. Oh, the autopilot's on maybe? That's why. Okay, autopilot's on. Cabaletti is another 36 miles away. We should have gotten the report inbound message. I don't remember seeing it. Which would have given us our BRC and everything, so I need to check that. That's mildly incredibly frustrating because now I don't have the BRC for landing on the thing here. I think it's 079, but I don't recall exactly. 079. Yeah, that looks about right. Yeah, I don't recall seeing because the way I have it set up is the instructor will give you the aircraft carrier calls as well. Yeah, we're not getting the CU at 10 call either. So maybe I missed something in the steps there. I'm gonna have to go back and take a look at it. We did get the basic "Hey, you did the mission correctly" message. So there's just something in the switches somewhere that I missed. So the mission works. I just have to go back and re-verify. I just need to go back and re-verify that. Let's get our radar all out. I just need to go back and re-verify that the flags are advancing the way they're supposed to, so that when you get 50 miles out, it gives you the BRC, it gives you the CU at 10 call, and then you do your carrier landing, and it all works the way it's supposed to. But we'll go ahead and execute our carrier landing here. Simulate it. So this, like I said, if you haven't seen any of these videos before, all of the missions after the first like 2 missions, I think 2 or 3 missions, you end up coming to each airfield that you're at, and you do this case 1 recovery. So you're going to come along the right side of the. Now I don't actually practice these all that much, so it's probably going to suck. I'm going to give you the instructions on how to do it, but I may not execute it the best. You want to be right around 350 knots and right around 800 feet radar elevation from the water, which is where you would be if you were landing on the carrier. You run along the right side. You look down to verify that the deck of the carrier is clear, and then you go about 1 mile. You go about 1 mile away from the carrier, and you can use the TACAN reference to judge that. I'm a little slow, so that is what it is. Then you idle throttle, left bank hard, and try to get somewhere around 2.5, 3 Gs of turn. I always end up underdoing it though, because I'm not really all that good at it. Once you hit around 250 knots, landing gear and flaps come out. We're watching to see the course line turn all the way back around to be pointing at the bottom of the HUD there. A little slow now, so we're going to add some power. Trying to bring the E-bracket into where the velocity vector is, and now we're just kind of watching that. Kind of watching to get around the edge of the carrier. It's very difficult to. I'm really low actually, so I'm gonna add a bunch of power because we should be up at around 600. So we're going to use this time that we have right now to kind of fix our altitude, get back to where we were. Ideally, you don't lose. Ideally, you're going to go down. You're going to descend from 800 feet down to around 600 feet if you're doing it properly. As I said, I don't do this. I don't actually practice this very much, so I'm not doing it very well. Then you're just constantly monitoring your altitude and attitude and all of that stuff to make sure you're in the thing and looking to see where you would simulate seeing the stern of the carrier. And then once you're right around where you think you can see the stern of the carrier, you do a 30-degree bank to the left, add some power to make sure you don't start descending the way you're not supposed to. And you basically want to make it to where the top and right side of the velocity vector are, on the horizon. And that'll give you pretty much the attitude that you're looking for. You want to turn 90 degrees before you really start trying to pay attention to, before you start trying to look to line up to the carrier. If your E-bracket starts drifting around, you can make some trim adjustments, but don't move the stick up and down. You're only making trim adjustments at this point once you have the E-bracket set. You're not pushing forward, pulling back on the stick. You are only making trim adjustments. If you're having to make stick adjustments, you've already screwed up, and you probably need to just go around. Once you get past a 90-degree point, you start making rapid throttle adjustments to put the velocity vector where you think you need it to be to descend down to where you need to go. I'm a little high, so I'm bringing it down kind of aggressively. And then just get yourself turned until you get the velocity vector on the numbers, which will put you, or just beyond the numbers. Just beyond the numbers should put you right where you need to be. Now on the carrier, you'll have a ball and you'll have a glide slope indicator and all those things that will help you out. For landing on the carrier, just put it right about here, and that will get you landing pretty much where you need to be. And then the instructor will say good trap, assuming you landed within the zone that I set for that. You go park, turn off the aircraft, you shut down the aircraft, and then you finish the mission. So yeah, that's the mission. Hopefully you guys, hopefully it made sense to some of you. Yeah, I'll go back and look at those flags to make sure that the logic of it all makes sense. But up until the point where we get to waypoint 5, which is the objective, everything seems to work. So I just got to make sure that the flags are advancing the way that they're supposed to. So hopefully you had fun. Click the like button to spread the video out to more people. Subscribe to help us reach 10,000 subscribers. You can join as a member to help us out with, funding for everything. You'll get early access to videos among other perks, or you can just leave YouTube's version of a tip with the thanks button. So again, thank you very much for your time. Hope you enjoyed. Be sure to come back for the next lesson, and I'll see you then.